Hello YouTube, it's CubeX, and today I have recently got a request of how do you clear a jam on a 3D printer or on the CubeX. And this one person thinks that they broke their head, and it's possible that happened, but I've been in that scenario where I've actually broke both heads on both of these on my Duo, and it's because I was impatient and I didn't understand anything yet. And this is just a quick tutorial on how to remove the head, clear the jam, and possibly get more efficient at it to the point where you understand how it works and whatnot. So we're going to remove four screws before we get into anywhere. And these four screws, I hope you guys can see this correctly. It's my first GoPro video. So this is the back of the printer. From the back view, this is the stepper motors are up front. This is behind the stepper motor, or in front of it rather. So what you need to do is, depending on which one you're taking it out, I'm taking out this first jet because it's the one that I'm just messing with for now for you guys. So what needs to happen is you need to remove three screws, and then we'll get to the fourth one. So we'll move on the side, and there's these two screws over here, 1, 2. So remove both of these screws here, and then you want to put these screws in a safe place so you don't lose them. I usually put them on the bed, but then they end up rolling off and falling on the table. So I recommend finding like a little piece of tape and putting it in the middle of it, or like a tape roll and then putting it in the middle, or just try not to lose it. So once there's one, and once this other one's out, you're almost there. And there's one more after this. Okay. And I usually do that too. So now I put them in a safe place. So now we're going to move along to the side, and we're moving this way. So as you can see, there's a nut here. I moved the plastic screen here, so this is probably where yours will be, but if yours is not, where mine is over here actually. So you just have to move whichever one where the other head is, because it's a screw. This one's just this one's actually just built into this thing, and that's what we're moving. So mine's over here, so I'm going to remove mine. Sorry, I'm a little excited. And it's just very important to go slowly and make sure you understand what you're doing so you don't break anything more than it's already broken. It's just, I've learned that the hard way. So then gently, I'm going to take that screw, and I'm moving the screw. Okay, so now we're actually over halfway there. We're already just about done. So looking at these controllers, all you have to do now is whatever head you want to disconnect the top two ports, okay? For example, this one, we're going to move this one, and we're going to move this one. Okay, so that the top two are gone. And that's it. So now what happens is this thing can go on the side. So I'm going to move the camera. So what we have done, I don't know if you can see, is we've disconnected this, okay? And all you have to do is disconnect this as well. Nothing too big. And the last screw you have to take out is this screw. It uses the same thing, and it's right here. I've already done it, and I don't want to strip it, so you just want to go carefully and smoothly and try not to put too much torque on it or you'll strip it. So once this screw is removed, put this one on the side as well, and you're actually done removing the head from the printer. So all you do is you gently put 2 fingers here and gently wiggle it out, and that, my friend, is all you have to do to remove the print head. So once the print head's removed, this is what you end up with on the side, and this is where we'll learn what the type of damage or jamage, not damage, jamage is taking place. So before you begin, what you want is you're going to want this green tool, comes in the kit, so we can remove your the head here, because if you don't want to damage that, because that's about $100 to $200 depending on where you get it. And unfortunately, I called back to try to get a replacement one, and since the printer is out of warranty, it's not being it's discontinued, it is no longer under warranty. So depending if there's damage, you're gonna have to tug at it. Once this screw's loose, you don't take it all the way out, just loosen it. You're gonna want to pull until it comes out. So this notch here, it's got a little notch there, and there's a little notch there. Now you might have a piece of here and it could just come out. Sometimes this will actually be stuck all the way in here, and you could do one of two things. You can try to pull it out, or you can actually trim it here and then put it back in here. But before we're done, sometimes that's not always what happens. Sometimes it's actually within here. So what you have to do is you want to remove this thing here, and that's about $20 if you break it. So you would just want to be gentle. So remove this screw here. Remove this screw here. And now you're good. So I'm going to put both of those screws in there, not to damage it. Okay, and you want to be very careful with it because there's this sensitive, I don't know if you can, that's very sensitive. That's a sensor to make sure your filament's flowing. So with that on the side, now you want to remove this screw, this screw, this screw, and that screw. Okay, and what should happen is your thing should just come, it should come right apart from there once these are all removed or disassembled. And if this video is not clear, let me know, and I'm totally willing to redo it or do different parts of it to make it clearer. The whole goal is just to get you guys familiar with how everything's connected, so that when you do take it apart, you don't overzealous yourself and try to take something apart out of order. And by taking something out of order or out of sequence, it can lead to a lot of possible damage. So it's important to have a procedure and understand what needs to be taken out first. Oops, that happens too. So now that all these are good, this thing should just come right out, just like that. Now you have the stepper motor with the gear. As long as that's clear, you're good. Now this thing. So what you want to keep doing is you want to unscrew all of these screws and put them just on the table. Once they're all on the table, then we will go to the next step. Okay, so now that they're all on the table, you want to be careful here because this is a machine part, and I think you actually do have to take this one out all the way. If you're going this far, it's optional, depending on how jammed your object did get. And you want to be very, very, very careful, because occasionally, then you'll just pivot, because if you take it out, you'll mess the bearings up of this. You don't want to do that, so you just want to pivot. As long as nothing's right in here or stuck in between here, then you're good. So pivot it back, close it together, and we can put the whole thing back together. And you just want to be gentle with this one, because this is what holds your J-head together. Then you put this back on here, and then you put these back here, and you screw it together. Okay, now I'm going to go through the rebuild process currently, so that you guys understand how to fully rebuild it back from where we just started, basically. So once that's all clear, and if you have an object still in there, then we can move forward from there. And what I want to say about the J-head in a second, once I screw this in, because we can put the J-head back on. So this is where you got to be careful sometimes, because you don't want to take this off, because this is actually soldered to here. So this is one piece as is, and you want to be very delicate with this being the heat sink. Sometimes you do get a piece stuck into here, and what can be happened is it just gets tripped over there. So like I said, I've done it before where I've actually had stuff jammed all the way in there and it still won't come out. So I've trimmed it to about here to leave about that much. And then what I did is I put it back together, and then when I put the filament in here, I actually push with it with a pair of pliers, and then that forces it into this groove here, and then it'll force it into here. Okay, so basically, because what happens is when this is here, this is like it's trying to push here, and there's not enough tension. But if you move it, then it can push into there. So, but most of the time you can just pull it out. Not all the time. Then we can just start to casually build it back together, and tighten this, and then you want this snug. You don't want it tight, because you don't want to strip that screw. then we're gonna put this thing back, and be careful of this, and put that there, and put it there. This goes right back there. And just like that, you went from a jam to no jam, just like that. And that's where most of the jam happens, but sometimes it does happen up here. In that case, just heat this up and then try to feed something through it, and just try to push it. I wouldn't recommend something hot or metal, because then if you heat it up as metal, then you can burn yourself. But experiment at your own risk. So let's go put it back on. Okay, we're back here, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it all back together. And so what we do now is you just gently take the extruder, wiggle it in there, make sure it's very gentle, and it goes right in place, just like that. Then take the long screw that came out, goes back in there, wiggle it in. I mean, it'll fit eventually. Then it goes in. Screw it until it's tight. You don't want it to be super tight, because I've actually jammed that one, or stripped this one because I went too tight. So you just want it tight enough where it's not going to move. Once that's good, then you can put this plate back on a little bit snugger. We're going to put those 2 screws back here. Then put the screw above that one. Okay. And now we shift the camera over a little bit. And then you put the last screw back in over here. Okay, so once that's all good, now you just have to put the wires back into place. So up here, unfortunately my GoPro ran out of memory, so I would have to clear it out. But all that was left was you just need to put the wires back in the correct ports as needed. And with that being said, once that's all good, you can fire it up and load your filament. And that's very important. When you load your filament, you want to click the button on the computer, or on the computer of the printer, that says load new filament. As long as you follow those steps, and then when it prompts you to feed filament through nozzle, you grab a pair of pliers and gently press into it, and it just helps to force it into it and get caught within the spinning gear wheel, so that it can force it into the print head even if it is jammed. I hope you guys like this video. If you want more, please subscribe, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I hope you enjoyed.